Good afternoon, everyone. I can see still many people are yet to join. Please don't switch on your microphones. Whatever question, if you have to ask, please ask via chat. I'll just wait for 2 more minutes so that everyone joins. Okay, so I'll start now. Um, Good afternoon, all students. And today we are here to discuss about today's lab, the final lab which remains for this semester for SPA lab. Before we begin, what we will do is I just have a couple of announcements to make regarding the lab sessions. The first announcement is all of us have we have graded your experiments 1 to 4 in batches B1 and B2. Experiments 1 to 4 have been graded already offline, although not everything is online, but offline we have graded them, right? So the remaining experiments, that is experiments 5 to 8, you will be having online quizzes on each of these experiments. These quizzes will carry 2 marks. So out of 10 marks per experiment, each experiment is out of 10 marks. So out of 10 marks, 8 marks will be for the remaining rubrics and 2 marks will be evaluated via the quiz. So these quizzes, experiment wise, hello, yes, can you hear me? Can I get a few replies of yes? Can you hear me? Okay, okay. Yeah. So lab experiments we have 5 to 8 are remaining to be graded. So there are some marks. Usually, what we do is we conduct your viva during when we check your output and we take your viva. So now what we are going to do, instead of viva, it will be difficult, right, from home. So what we are going to do is experiments 5 to 8, we are going to have 2 marks reserved for quiz instead of viva. Okay. And since you're not drawing any flowchart or writing any algorithms for these, so instead of 1 mark, the earlier 1 mark that we had for viva, you'll have 2 marks for this, and that documentation 1 mark will go for this. From 1 mark it will go here. So 8 plus 2, your experiment will be graded as 8 plus 2. This is the first thing that I wanted to tell you. These quizzes will be conducted at a common time for all the batches. So that time slot will be given to you. So you start preparing experiment 5 to 8. The quiz questions will be based on the experiment itself. So for example, if there's an experiment on pointers, the questions will be related to pointers. That's the first thing. The second announcement that I have to make is regarding your practical exam, your SPA practical exam. Okay. So all of you are aware that you have a 20 marks exam for SPA lab. So your breakup is 80 for ISC, 80 marks for lab work, term work, that is ISE, and 20 marks for your EAC and SEM exam, which is a practical exam to be conducted. So now, since we have resumed our academic activities, we'll be conducting this exam in the last week of our academic term. That is in the week of 18th May. 18th May will be our practical exam. So for you, it will be in the slot, whatever the slot the batch has. So your slot will be on 19th, I suppose. You have a batch on slot on 19th. So we will conduct the exam on 19th May in this slot only, 2:15 to 4:15. Okay. So again, for the practical exam, again you will have two things. First is so 10 marks. The breakup is 10 marks for the code that you write, and 10 marks will be for a quiz, which will be based on the entire syllabus. That code will be given, some random allocation will be done to each student, and the student has to perform and upload on the link that we provide on Moodle, or maybe we will tell you if there is some other platform. We will tell you, that will let you know. But that is the first thing, that the code you have to do, that will be carrying 10 marks. Remaining 10 marks will be for the quiz, which will be based on the entire lab syllabus. So again, we will, so 1.5 hours you will get for completing that practical, and remaining half an hour you will have to give the quiz, worth 10 marks. So these are the modalities which will be used to grade you. So I'm getting a question here. Will they be subjective or objective? It will be objective. The questions will be objectives. There will be MCQ type questions that you usually have. So it will not be a subjective quiz. Okay. So these are the announcements, very important announcements that I wanted to make before I started. So now what we will do is, the next lab is on file handling, the last lab. Okay, it's on file handling. So we will see the basics of file handling. I'll be discussing the basics of file handling. I'll be sharing some code with you. I'll be explaining some code with you right now. You will try to understand from my explanation. So as I'm explaining, I'll be asking questions so that if you have any doubts, you can get them clarified. And then I will explain what all you are supposed to do for the practical. Now this practical that you are going to do, today you will start. Tomorrow's, again you have a slot, 2:15 to 4:15. You will finish it up and submit by 4:15 tomorrow only. Okay. So today we are going to start with file handling. I will explain how to start the coding. Okay. So I'll just share my screen with you. Just wait for some time. I'll just share it. So can you see my screen now? Can I get a few yeses on the chat window? Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So files, basically they are a collection of bytes which are stored on the hard disk, right? So they are stored on the secondary storage devices. They are not in your primary memory. So whenever you restart your computer, you can find the file on the computer once you have saved it. Okay. So there are two types of files when we are dealing with C programming. There are two types of files which C program can handle directly. First is a text file. The format which is used is ASCII format. It's a text file. Okay. And the second file type is a binary file. Now, text files basically is a combination of digits and alphabets and other symbols. Binary files, on the other hand, they consist of zeros and ones. So this format is different from text files, and you cannot view the binary files directly. That means when you open a file, you will not be able to understand what the contents of the file are if the file is a binary file. On the other hand, if it is a text file, you'll be able to see the contents. You'll be able to read it and understand the contents. Now, in C, whenever you are trying to operate files or deal with files, there are a few steps that you need to follow. The first step is you need to open the file. The first step is you need to open the file. Uh, Now, opening the file is basically making use of some library function which gives you an access to the file. So the file is there on the disk. Okay, now you want to access the contents of it. You want to read from the file through your C program. What do you do? So there has to be something in C which helps you to read that file, right? So there is in C a library function that is fopen. Okay. So the first step whenever you are handling files in C, the first step is to open a file. So you make use of a library function fopen, which can be used to open the file. Once you open the file using fopen, the next step is you either read or you write. So either you read from the file or you want to write some content to the file. Both things are possible via a C program. Both operations are possible via a C program. Okay. So obviously, if you want to write something to the file or if you want to read something from the file, you need to have some library function in the language which you're using. So those library functions which are there, they are pertaining to read and write. There are many which are there in C. So you can read, if when I talk in terms of reading, it could be reading character by character. So you have fget C. It could be in terms of reading string by string. So you have fget S. It could be in terms of reading record by record. So entire, for example, you are having a file of student records. Okay, you're having a file of student records. In that case, I can read it record by record, line by line. So that will be fscanf. So this is the file variant of the scanf function, fscanf. Okay. Similarly, if I want to write to a file, so there's a file which is there, I want to write to it. I have fput C. If I want to write character by character, I have fput S. If I want to write string by string, that means a sequence of characters. If I want to write one at a time in one go, if I want to write fput S, or I want to write to the file record by record. So if I want to write to the file record by record, so in that case, the function is fprintf. Okay. So using these functions, you can read and write to the files. Finally, once you are done with this, you need to close the file handle. So you have opened the file to access its contents. Okay, then you want to close the file. So for closing the file, there is another function that is fclose. So whenever you are having a program, whenever you are writing a program in C for file handling, this will be the typical sequence. So first you open the file, then you read or write depending on your requirement, and third, you close the file. Okay. So now everyone has got so far. You could not see the video. Can you see it? Can you see my screen? Can you see? Can you see the screen where I've written the file handling steps? Can you see the screen? Okay. Anyone is having problems with this? Can you see the screen? Okay. Okay. So for this, these are the steps that you need to follow. After this, what we do is we will see one by one each of these functions when we see how to read and write to files. Okay. Now, before we go via this sequence of 1, 2, 3, we need to understand one thing, that whenever we are dealing with files, there is something which is known as a file pointer in C. So you create a pointer which is of type file. Now file F-I-L-E, all in caps, is a special type. It's a special structure actually. It's a struct. You must have used structures. You have done structures earlier. So it's a special structure variable which is dedicated for file handling. So it's a type which is created for handling files, for opening and for closing files. Okay. So this file pointer file will be there in every program that you use for file handling. Okay. So what you do is file, it's a pointer. So the type of it will be file star. Since it's a file pointer, so the type will be file star. Okay. And then you create your pointer variable. It could be anything. Usually we say FP. So if there is one file and you want to access it, you can call the pointer FP. It stands for file pointer. It stands for file pointer. Fine. So let us take one simple example. Okay. Suppose you have this kind of a file, the student file. Okay. So with fields, let us take some arbitrary fields. The fields will be roll number. Okay, I'll take 1, 2, 3, 4 roll number, followed by the student name, followed by the student marks. Okay, this is a simple file that we have taken. Okay, and in this file we'll have several such records. So I'll just populate this with some records. Okay, these are some marks out of 40, whatever you want. Okay. Okay. So Sina is the clever one. Anyways, out of 40. I'll just save this file now. I'll just save this file as a normal text file. So I will say file, let me say student, let me give it a good name, student.txt. I'm saving it as a text file. Right? Now, once I save this as a text file, what I will do is I will now write my C program to read this file, to read the contents of this file line by line. Okay. And remember, whenever you're reading record by record, when you're treating each line of the file as a record, it's always better to use which function? Fscanf. Fscanf is used for reading formatted input from the text file. So Fscanf is used for reading formatted input. So we will, whenever we are writing, most of our programs will revolve around writing such files or programs which will involve records like students or employees or doctors and so on. Okay. So in this case, what we will do is we will make use of Fscanf fscanf function rather than this, because you understand this will be character by character and it will take too much to process this. If I make everything as a character, then I have to again reconvert this to my integer type, because this will be treated as a character. Then I have to pre-process a lot. If I go for fgetS, again it will be string by string. Even if I take this entire thing into this fgetS, it will be string, and then again I have to, if I want to process the data, it will be difficult. I cannot extract the roll number separately, then this and this. I'll have to, I can do it, but I have to do some kind of pre-processing for that. So the best way to go about this is using the fscanf function for reading. Okay. Now let us go stepwise. So we'll start with a C program. I'll just student file .c. I'll just save it. Okay. Now in my C program, what will I do? I will first, let me define my main. I will open this student.txt in this student file program, and I will print it out once. I'll print the records once. Okay. So I simply two tasks I have to do. I just have to open this, read from the file, and then I print it on the console. I will open the file in my program, studfile.c. I will print, I will read the file. Okay, and then I will print it. Okay. So let us see how to do it. The first step, very first step, before we go through this 1, 2, 3 procedure, the very first step is that I need to declare a file pointer. I will declare a file pointer in my program. So I will write file star, let me give it the name FP. Once I do this, I can go ahead with my 3 steps. Okay. The first step that we have is fopen. So for fopen, let us see. I have not talked yet about what arguments these functions take, right? I've just named the functions here. I have not talked about the arguments. So I will talk about the arguments now. So fopen function takes 2 arguments. First argument is the file name. So which file do we need to open? We need to open student.txt. So I will simply write student.txt. Next, there's one more argument in fopen, and that argument is the mode in which you want to open the file. Now mode simply means what operations you want to perform on the file, with the file. So there are 2 modes largely, and there's a third mode as well. We'll see the larger modes are read and write. So either you open the file for reading or you open the file for writing. So in this program, in this case, I need to open the file for reading. So for that, the code, there's a code, there are codes, 1 letter codes. The code is R. So R means read mode. You are opening the file in read mode. Okay. Similarly, you have W mode and you have A mode. You have R, W, and A. So read, write, and append. Append will be editing the file. That means you're writing to the file at the end of it. Okay. So read, write, and append are the 3 modes. Apart from this, there are 3 more modes: R plus, W plus, and A plus. So read plus, so R plus, I'll just show in the PPT. Okay. So, yeah. So read, write, append, RWA. So this is giving what all it does. See, I'm not going a lot more in detail. I will just talk with respect to your lab session. So mostly we'll be working with read and write. R and W. Other modes, you'll have to read through this. I'll be also sharing this PPT with you so that you can read through this, and later on you can explore more. Okay. So read, write, append. So there is something interesting with respect to what this function returns. So f open will return something. It returns a null pointer actually. It returns a null pointer if the file cannot be opened. So f open you're going to use to open the file. And if there is some problem with opening the file, say for example, you're trying to read from a file which does not exist. So you're trying to open a file which is not there for reading. That is an erroneous situation. So that is not allowed. Okay. So in that case, f open will return a null value. So you can actually use the return value of f open to check whether the file was correctly opened or not. And then you can terminate the program there itself rather than going ahead. Because if you go ahead, then again, your program is bound to crash. So it's better that you do the checking beforehand. Okay. So that is for read mode. In write mode, if for some reason it's not able to allocate that much space in the program memory for opening that file handle, then it will return a null. So for read mode, you remember that if the file you have if your file you're trying to read from is not present on your in your drive from wherever you are writing a program, then it will give you a null pointer. So then your program will crash. So you need to check the value that is returned by f open. Similarly, you have append, A mode. Then you have these R plus, W plus, and A plus. So R plus means read as well as write. So if you're reading as well as writing from the same file, then you can use R plus. Similarly, W plus and A plus. So W plus is write as well as read. So you can do both things, but the default, now what is the difference you will say? R plus and W plus. R plus means read and write. W plus means write and read. So both mean the same, you will say. No, both do not mean the same. They are different modes. The difference lies in the fact that the first mode, R plus, works like the read mode in case of returning null. So R plus will return a null pointer if it is not there, if the file is not there. W plus will return a null pointer if it is not able to open it. So by default, R plus will work like R mode. By default, W plus will work like W mode. So this is a brief overview of modes. I cannot go much more in detail about this. I just want to go back to the program so that we are able to use the read and the write modes for successfully writing our programs. Okay. So the first step is F open. Coming back to the program, the first step is F open. So what do? I say FP, it returns a pointer. Okay. FP is equal to F open, student file name, comma, mode name. So these are the arguments. You should not forget these arguments, the order. First is the file name, then comes the mode. Now that I have opened my file, what is the next step? The next step is reading or writing. Now I know I have opened my file for reading, so I should be reading in the file, reading in the program. So what I will do, I don't know how many records are there in the program. I don't know how many records are there in my file, text file. It might be 3. Now I know because I can see. But usually the program is blind. The program will not know every time it will be 100 or it will be 3 or it will be 50, whatever. So how do you make out? How does a program make out that it has to stop after this? It has to stop reading after this line, the last record. It has to stop reading right after this record. So the way in which the program understands this is using one special value which is always placed at the end of the file, and that is the EOF value. Okay. So EOF will be used by the program to detect the end of the file. Okay. So instead of a for loop, now we know it is having 3 records. So I could use a for loop, but I don't know in general. It could be 3, 4, 5, anything. Okay. So what I will do is, the safest way of writing the program is using by keeping track of EOF. Okay. Now how to use it, I will show it to you. So the first thing is, I'll use a while loop. I will say while, what do I need to do? I need to read, right? So if I have to read, I need to make use of okay, let me just stop. Some of you have not understood the difference between R plus and W plus. I'll come back to it. First, let us do a plain program with R and W. Then we'll come back to the advanced modes. Okay. So coming back to the program, while F scanf. Now again, I have not talked about the arguments of fscanf, right? So there are 3 arguments that you have to write inside fscanf. First is the file pointer. The first argument to scanf is the file pointer. Okay. Next argument to scanf is a string, the format specifier string. Now you can correlate this with your scanf function. What are the arguments of the scanf function? The first argument is the format specifier string, and followed by it you have a series of arguments which are nothing but your addresses of variables, variable addresses. Similarly here you will have this format specifier followed by a series of variable addresses. But before this format specifier, you will have one additional argument, and that is a file pointer. So FP. So it is FP, format specifier string, followed by the arguments. Now here the arguments, I need to read. Okay, so this, if I'm reading this record, if I'm reading, I need to read this into some variable. Then I need to read this into some variable. Then I need to read this into some variable. Right? So what I will do is, here I will create a structure type. So I will say type def struct I have roll number, I have roll number, I have the name, I have the name, and then I have marks. Fine. I just, it could be float also, double also, whatever. You can change that. If you want this to be float, you can do that. Fine. Now what we do inside here, okay, we'll rename the type to student type. What we will do here is, we will create a variable of this type. So what we will do, we will create a variable of this type, student key s. It's a temporary variable which we will be using to hold while we are reading line by line. So this first field of this record, you will be reading into this variable s. S is roll number, R number. So s dot roll number, s dot R number, you're going to save this value 1. In s dot name, you are going to save this value Tina. In s dot marks, you're going to save this value, that is 30. Okay. So what we will do is, in this format specifier string, the first one should be, think of it as your scanf. Okay, first one should be %d, roll number. Second one is the name of the student. So it is %s. And third one is a %f because it is float. The type is float. That is scanf. That is the format specifier string of scanf. Now the second third argument is the series of variable addresses. So the first one will be address of s dot r number, right? R number. Second argument will be address. It's a string, so I will not use the address of operator. It's a string %s. So I will say s dot name. Third will be, it's a float, so it will be again address of s dot marks. Okay. So this is my fscanf. Fscanf takes the first argument as fp, file pointer. Next argument is the format specifier string. Depending on whatever you have in your file, whatever content you have in your file, each record that you have, you are putting that accordingly. And then followed by this, you will have all the variables where you want to read into. You're reading this record from this file into these variables. So in this case, the components of this structure variable that you have created. The roll number followed by name followed by marks. Now once you do this is fscanf. Now fscanf returns a value. It returns the number of arguments which have been successfully scanned if the scanf was successful, or it returns an EOF if it has reached the end of the file. So fscanf function will return an EOF value if it has reached the end of the file. So inside this while loop, the condition for fscanf should be while fscanf, the entire fscanf, not equal to EOF. While fscanf not equal to EOF, I need to keep on reading. I need to keep on reading till I reach my EOF. Is this clear? Is this clear? Okay. So now going back to the program. Now inside this, let us come right inside this. Inside this, what are we required to do? We are required to simply print out the students. Okay, student record. So what will I do here? I will write a printf. Where do I need to print? I need to print to the console. So I'll say printf, my entire record. I'll just copy this. Okay. Printf %d, %s, %f. I'll use a new line every time. And I will say address of s dot roll number. Instead of address, I will just write s dot roll number, s dot name, and s dot marks. Okay. So this is all I have got to do. Now you notice here, we are not doing anything to the file pointer or anything as such. So what happens is internally, if one record is scanned, the moment I scan one record, the file pointer is automatically pointing to the next record. So once this fscanf, first time that this loop runs, it's your file is already open in read mode, right? So there's an internal file pointer here. So there's a file pointer here. Now you're calling fscanf. Since you have called fscanf, this record will be scanned inside fscanf. So once this is done, automatically this internal file pointer is updated to the next record. So this is an auto update. Again, next time what happens? Okay, then you're printing. You have read the first record into S. Now you're printing it on your console. Next time what will happen? Your pointer has been automatically updated. Your pointer has been automatically updated here. So next time what happens? Next time again this loop will run. It will see fscanf here. It will scan the next record. It will scan the next record. It will put it into S. Again, it will reuse that S variable again, and it will print it out. So after reading this entire thing, again it is pointing here. Same way for third, and then it will point to the end of the file. And since it is end of the file, it will come out of the loop. That is how the loop will work. So let us quickly compile this and run this. Okay. So what's the name of the file? GCC file name. Okay, so it has compiled. Let me run it. So you see the output, right? So I have simply passed the file I have simply opened here in the read mode. It's scanning one by one. It is simply printing. So far, any doubts? Everyone could see how it worked, at least the program output. Everyone could see the output. People could see the output. Can you reply with a yes? I'll be sharing the code. I'll be sharing once I finish this session. You will be going back to doing your practical. I'll be sharing the code with you. This file, I'll be sharing it with you. Okay, so you will have it for reference. Don't worry. Is fscanf the same as fgetS? No, it is not the same as fgetS. It is not the same as fgetS. Okay, fgetS allows you to treat it as a string. FgetS, fget string, file get string. It allows you to read it as a string. Fscanf allows you to read it as a record. Read the line as a record. So record, that means it can consist of different types inside. So one is an integer. You do not have to do any pre-processing as such. You not have take it into an array of characters and you split it up. You not do any kind of pre-processing, right? So you just have to use fscanf whenever there is a record that you want to read. Okay, so this is about fscanf. Now we will see this student.txt file content. What we will do is we will read and we will print all the records of this second program. So what we will do is second program, we will just read this file and print the contents of this file into another file. We will print only those records which are having higher than some marks, which are having marks, the third column, higher than some marks. So we'll just put some condition into the program. Okay, we'll modify it now. Everyone has understood the question? Have you understood the question? Text file and C file should be stored in the same folder. Yes, the text file and C file should be stored in the same folder. Okay, some of you are still not able to understand. Please use fscanf whenever there is a record that you're talking about. FgetS will treat everything as an array of characters, a string, char type. How will you process it? You have to separate out every character and then convert to integer if you want to do some comparison. Okay, this is fine. This program is a very simple program that we have written. We have a very simple program that we have written. We are simply reading it out line by line and dumping it somewhere. We are just putting it on the console, right? But what if you want to process the data? What if you want to do a comparison, like the program that I'm talking about now? I change my problem statement, right? I will put only those records from the file to some another file which are having so and so, which is satisfying so and so condition. Only those records which are satisfying this condition, only only those records will be copied to the second file. So how will you do that? If you use fgetS, it's going to be very difficult. You need to parse that string, then you need to remove the spaces, you need to do some pre-processing. Then you need to convert those character parts to integers. So it's going to be difficult. So you don't use fgetS. I'm not going to talk about the details of fgetS and other functions because these functions have to be taught by the class teacher. So they will be she'll be teaching you. Your madam will be teaching you. Yes, fgetS considers the whole record as a string. Sudhanshu is right. It will consider it as a string. Fine. So we'll move ahead to the second question. The second question is, you are reading it from this file student.txt and you are putting it, you're copying it to some other file. Okay. Not everything, but only those records which are satisfying some condition. Okay. So for that, I need to work with two file pointers. First file pointer will be for the first file, that is student.txt. The second file pointer will be for the second file. Okay. So FP is this. So I'll just call them FP1, or I'll say FPR for FP read. Reading, because I'm reading from first file. And I have to put it to second file, right? So I'll call that as FPR. And I will call the second one as FPW, because the second file I have to write to the file. So the second file I need to open in the write mode, W mode. So what I will do, I will open this file in the W mode. Let me call that as toppers. Okay. So above some threshold, whichever students have got, we will put them into toppers.txt. Fine. And of course, the file that we are going to have, toppers, we have to write to the file. So we will open the file in W mode, right? So this remains the same. So I'm reading record by record. So this while loop can be same. Now inside this while loop, instead of printf, I will write my condition. I need to write my condition. And what is my condition? The condition is that if I will define some marks, okay, threshold. Okay, so int float threshold marks. Okay, so threshold you will take from the user. Okay, print f, enter. So above this limit, whatever the user is entering, scanf percent f address of. So whatever this user is entering as the limit, above that whichever marks are, only those records we will put place into the second file, that is toppers.txt. So now what we have done so far is, first record we have scanned into S. So S has the first record with roll number, name and marks. Now you will check this record. S is marks. You will check this S dot marks. This student S's marks, you're going to check if it is greater than the threshold. Fine. If this marks is, only if these marks are greater than the threshold, you will print this record into the file. So where will you print? You will print to the file. Since you're printing to the file, instead of printf function, you have to make use of fprintf function. Instead of printf function, you need to make use of fprintf function. Okay. So here I'll have a third argument. and that is my FP. Now, FP in this case is the FP of toppers. FP in this case is the FP of toppers, that is FPW. Okay. So only if this condition is true will I print to the file. One more thing is the third step that we had written here, although it will not show an error, that is closing the file, it is a very important step. Okay, so the last step in your program in file handling should be an F close. F close, and it takes only one argument, that is a file pointer. Because sometimes what happens, most of the times your programs work, but sometimes what happens when the file pointers are left unclosed, okay, if they are still open, sometimes your program crashes. So always it's a good programming practice to put the F close. So the syntax is F close file pointer. Okay, for F close, it is F close file pointer. Since I had opened two file pointers, FPR and FPW, I will close them one by one. So once we do this, we'll save it. And what we expect is after this program runs successfully, this file should have been created. This file toppers.txt, it's not there in my directory. Okay, it's not there in my directory. It should be created. So let us compile this and run this. Okay, let us compile. Enter the limit. So I know who is a topper. So I'll just keep the threshold as 37. So in that case, let us see how many records are there in the file. So there should be a file now. After it has run, it is not showing any output because I have not printed anything on the console. Right? I have not printed, I have not written a printf statement. I've written f printf statement. F printf will write to the file. It will not print on the console. So what I will do is, okay, so see, you will see this file has been created right now, toppers.txt. Let's see. So actually I have put a new line. That is why it has given a new line. What you can do is you can put a new line after this record. So it has given the topper is 3, Sina and 40. Okay. Marks. If I change this, I'll just change this. I'll just close this once and I will again just edit the program. See, I put a new line, so it left a new line there. So whatever escape sequences you use, it will be reflected in the file as well. So I'll use new line here instead of at the beginning. So every record will come on a new line. I need to put this. Now, second thing is, if I change the threshold after this, so if I compile again, if I change the threshold, if I change the threshold to 34, then 35, these two records should be there in the file. Which records? Record 2 and record 3, Meena and Sina should be in the file. So I'll again go to the file and open it. So you see here, Meena and Sina, they are there. Can you see the screen? Meena and Sina, both are there in the toppers.txt. Okay. Remember, write mode, whenever you're opening the file in write mode, whenever you're using the file in write mode, what happens is that the entire file is overwritten. So if the file already exists, you remember you had created the file once, right, through your program. Toppers.txt was earlier not there. First of all, it was not there. Then when you ran your program the first time, it was created with that one record. The next time that I run it, what happened? It did not show me any error. It again opened it and rewrote over it. So overwriting is done. In write mode, W mode, the file contents are overwritten. So you have to be very careful with the write mode. So if you want a file, the file contents to be preserved, then in that case, you do not use the write mode. You make use of the append mode, A mode. Okay. screen is not visible. I'm not showing the screen. Earlier it was visible, right? You could see the output. You could see the output. Yeah. So because of the fluctuations in the network, sometimes you are not able, you are not able to see. Okay. uh, so this covers a lot about file handling. So once you see these see these programs and run for yourselves, you will understand. I will pass these over to you. I will upload on Moodle right now in some time. And let us with this background, let us discuss the problem statements that are to be solved. Okay. Anyone has doubts apart from that f get s, f scan f that you have asked me? Anyone has doubts with respect to understanding of the program? I'm just waiting for that. Okay. Okay. So I'll move ahead. I will discuss the problem statements with you. Okay. So can you see the screen? Can you see the screen, this document? I think you can see. Yeah. So the first question is, a publishing company holds in a file details of all the books that they publish. Okay. So what they want to do is, in future they want to maintain two distinct files, paperbacks and hardbacks. Okay. So the books are of two types, paperback types and hardback types. Okay. So these books, there's a file which they have which contains all these books. So what you have to do is, you have to write a program which will read this file containing details of both the paperback and hardback books, and you have to create two separate files now. So there is one file, say example books.txt. Okay. This books.txt is having all the records, all the books, whether it be paperback or be it hardback. Okay. It will have all the books. You simply have to create two new files which will read from the first file, the books.txt, and it will create these two files. Okay. Now how do you distinguish whether it is paperback or hardback? You will distinguish whether it is paperback or hardback using one flag which is given in the record itself. Okay. So the first character in each, it's mentioned, assume that the first character in each input record indicates if the book is paperback or hardback or both. Okay. So there are three flags that you have, P, H and B. So I will just give you a sample of this just to make it more clearer. What I will do is, I'll just show a sample of this. Okay. So sample file, that is. Okay. So first, so suppose, assume you have some fields. Okay. Books will have what? Book will have the title, the author name. Okay. What all fields the book will have? The price. Okay. You assume such fields. You just assume what should be there in the database record. Okay. So it will have, and along with that, it should have the tag, that is, it is whether it is paperback or whether it is hardback, or it is having both copies are available, both types are available. Okay. So suppose I have some record P. Next is, I will have book name. Book name is Okay, Alice in Wonderland, whatever, something like that. Okay, this is a book name. Okay, then there is price. Okay, then there is author name, something like that. I'll just put something XYZ. Okay, you have the records like this. Then there is an H. The book is something. Okay, and then this, and then the price, something like that. Then there is again an H. Then there is a book name. Okay, now one more thing I want to say. You must have noticed in the example that I gave earlier, the file was simply having records. The fields were very simple. I did not put any space in between or anything like that. Now, if I want to do something like I want to modify this program, and instead of Tina, I want Tina, Meena in the same line. That means the name and the surname in the same line. Okay, then I have to put a space. Okay, so what is the space actually in my file? This space in my file is identifying, or it is separating one field from another. The fields, it's a field separator. It is also called as a field separator. The field separator is a space here. But what if I have space in the field itself, like name, surname together, like Alice in Wonderland? Then I cannot make use of space. So what will I do? I will make use of comma. I'll make use of comma. Okay. I'll make use of comma everywhere. Now that means I've changed my field separator to comma. Okay. So I have to be careful. If I have spaces in my name, then I have to make use of comma. And if I have to make use of comma, then I have to find how to separate the commas in scanf. Okay, I'll come back to this. So now going back to this problem, again, this is my file. Okay, and then there is some B or maybe next line. Okay, I'll just continue with this. Okay, and then there is a B. Okay, so okay, so these are my records. Now once I have these records, what I have to do is I have to see, okay, what is the first character? Okay, it is P. If it is P, put this in file paperbags.txt. If the first character is, if it is an H, put this record in hardbags.txt. If it is B, then I put in both paperbacks as well as hardback. So the output after this program will be, what will be the output? In paperbacks.txt, I'll just write p.txt. I should have Alice in Wonderland, and I should have this last one, KKKK, right? After this is in paperbacks.txt. What about hardback.txt? What should be the output? The output should be, there should be 3 books. First should be the THT whatever, FF, SF, that one. Then you will have HD, HHD, and then you will have KKK. Sorry, KKK. Right? So this should be the output. So 2 new files should be, this is the first file. This is the original file. What is the original file? It is books.txt. Okay, all books are there together. Everything is there. Only the flag is available. So after the program runs, 2 new files should be created. First should be p.txt, which will have these records, and second should be h.txt, which will have these records. So that is how your output should be. Now, if you're having this, okay, everyone has understood what is to be done. Okay. I will come to the comma thing after I explain the second problem. Okay, I want to show it in students itself. What if there is, instead of space, there's a comma. I'll come back to the comma separator thing in the student program itself, so that it gets clarified. Second, now this is what you're supposed to do in the first problem statement. Now in the second problem statement, In the second problem statement, you have to set up a file containing vehicle records which hold registration number and owner information, that is name and address. So write a program which given a registration number will retrieve and print the the owner information. So so what you're having is with you a vehicle.txt file. Okay, this vehicles.txt file will have records with these two fields, registration number and owner information. That means three fields: number, name, address. Registration number, name, address, these three fields. Okay, then your program must ask the user to enter a registration number. So when the user enters this registration number, you have to go to your file, open that file in read mode, scan through the records using fscanf, and see whether there's a match. If that match is found, it will print, okay, इस vehicle का owner ये है. So this vehicle's owner name and address is so and so. If at all it is not found in the list of records, it will simply print not found. This vehicle does not have an owner, or this vehicle is seen, number is seen for the first time, something like that, some message like that. So this second program is very simple. I assume you simply have to create a vehicles.txt file. That file you create with some arbitrary records with these fields, and then you ask the user in your program, you simply ask the user to enter the registration number, some arbitrary registration number. Scanf में ले लो, take it inside Scanf, through Scanf. Okay, after you do that, you simply open your file and check record by record. That's it. So that is your second problem statement. I hope you have understood the second problem statement. Have you understood the second problem statement? Yeah. Yeah. So I will go back. I will I will go back to the students program, and what I will do is I will just change it. So what I was supposed to do is I have changed this to comma. I'll just put Tina something. Okay. Tina Mina. Mina Sina. And okay, so I've changed my records. Now what I've done, I have changed my field separator to a comma, right? So if I change my field separator to a comma, what do I need to do? Okay, just hold for the second, for a second. I'll just, I need to present again. I'll do it. One minute. 1 minute, please. Yeah, can you see the screen? Can I get a few yeses? Can you see the screen? Okay. Can you see the code? Yeah. So what I will do is I have modified this to student.txt to using field separator comma. Now what I will do is I need to tweak this now, right? What do I need to do? My field separator was earlier I assume my field separator is a space. That is why I put a space here after %d. I did not directly write %s. I put a space in between %d and %s, assuming that the field separator was a space. Now what I will do is I will put a comma instead of these spaces. Okay, so I'll put a comma. I'll put a comma while doing fscan. Fine. Now once I do this comma thing, what I will do is first is a %d. It's fine. Then there is a comma. Then there's a comma here. There's a comma here, right? So I put a comma in scanf. I put a comma in fscanf if there's a comma there. Next, what I do is I have this string. This string is containing spaces. So if your string contains spaces in scanf, your output will stop reading. Your scanf will stop reading, right? So to avoid that, there is a tweak, and that tweak is you use %. Then you use this pattern matching operator. Okay, this is a square bracket. Inside that, you write this. I'll tell you what this means. Okay. Inside this, what I've written is inside the square bracket, I've written a caret symbol, the not, the caret, okay, symbol, followed by or raised to the power symbol, okay, followed by comma. It means that read everything. When I write % and into bracket, I put this kind of a pattern. It means read everything up till the comma or except for the comma. Read the input in this line till a comma is encountered. This means whatever I have written here, this. It means that read everything till a comma is encountered. So I will read everything starting from Tina till Meena, okay, till the next comma is encountered. So this everything, this entire thing will be read into the corresponding variable that you have written here. And what is that? It is s dot name. So in s dot name, everything, all characters will go inside, including spaces, including any other characters except for comma. Okay. So you do this tweak, and then you put your comma, and the next argument again it's a float. So there's no problem. Okay. Similarly, while copying also, I will do the same thing. No, while copying, what I will do, I'm not scanning anything. I'm simply printing. I'll simply put a comma now. While copying to the file, I'll simply replace my space with a comma. So what will happen? That space will be taken care of. Next time I have something to read from the second file from Topos, then I'll be able to read it smoothly using this kind of an fscanf. So for reading, I need to use this. For printing, I'll use my normal %s. Please recollect, please try to recollect that for whenever you're writing %s using printf, so when you're printing on the console, if the string has spaces, it will still print. But while reading, it will not allow spaces. While scanning f, it will not allow spaces. Okay, please recollect that. Now we will save this. Let us run this and see whether it is running properly. So it's compiled. Enter the limit 34. Okay, so we have entered the limit. What we will do is I'll just close this because the contents must have been refreshed. So I'll open this. Okay. Okay, wait. What I have done is I put a space after this. That is why it was showing the extra space. If you noticed, this space was there, right? In the second, wait. Can you see this? There's a space here. Why this came? It did not come for any, come just like that. It came because I put a space after the backslash n. So I should remove the space. So if I remove this space, that space also will go away. Okay. Uh, so I'll just compile it again for you. 33 I'm putting. Okay. So what I will do is this. So the space has gone now. The space has gone because I had put a space there. That is why it was reflected. Fine. So this is how you work with something other than spaces. So you'll have to practice this, and then hopefully the two programs you should be able to do. Fine. So with this, I will end what I had to say today. Can we use, okay, I'm getting some questions. Wait. Can we use any character as a separator if we make the required changes? Yes, you can use any character as a separator. You can use any character. Okay. You can use any character instead of that caret, that character. Suppose instead of this, there was this dollar symbol. So you will put caret dollar in between. Suppose a space separator was a dollar, the field separator was a dollar. You'll put the dollar symbol, caret dollar, and here everywhere you'll put dollar. Here you'll put dollar. Fine, like that. Will the file handling codes work on online IDE? So I'll suggest some IDE where it will work. I know of an IDE where it will work. I'll give that link. Okay, I'll give that link to you, Parth. I'll put it on Moodle for online IDE where the files will work. Okay. So I will hope you have understood. There will be some doubts definitely because it's not easy to cover entire file handling in just 1.5 hours. So what we will do is, I just want to give some instructions to you. Now there's half an hour remaining. You can start now or you can do it in the evening as per your convenience. But tomorrow again you have to come back at 2:15 and you have to complete the lab by 4:15. It has to be submitted. Okay. In the meantime, if you're having any doubts, I am available on chat on Moodle. So I have opened a chat on Moodle there. I'm available there. So there you can post your questions. Plus you can always post your questions on email. Okay. And I will solve them. If you're facing any doubts, I'll solve them. Okay. So with this, I'll end this live session. You can go back to doing the work. I will put all these files, the code file that I discussed, the student file, all the files, the PPT also I'll put it up, and the link for online ID if you want to use files on an online ID. Okay. So I'll do this. Thanks for listening patiently. Now one more thing is I need to take your attendance. So here what I want is everyone, all of you who have joined the meeting, please write your name and roll number in the chat. So before you leave, write your roll number and name in the chat and leave. Okay. And you can leave the chat. All batches, both batches, B2 as well.